Am I the jerk for not apologizing for outing my girlfriend, although she claims I did? We are both 18 years old and have been dating for 4 years. She has only claimed to be anything other than straight since last week. About 3 years ago, she told me she had a girl crush on a girl in 5th grade and that she still thinks about it. I did not take it seriously because, admittedly, at 15 years old, it was normal for me for straight women to be overly flirtatious with their friends or have a higher interest in the same sex compared to men. Here's the issue. I made a joke about the girl crush in front of her family when we were all poking fun at each other in a similar fashion. She said, "I only said she was pretty," and I responded, "No jerk here, that's not what it seemed like." That was that. She told me her mom asked about the girl crush because of the joke, but at the time, it seemed lighthearted. She was upset with me for making the joke because I shared too much of her personal business, and I understood. Today, a week after she told me she might seriously be interested in girls, she randomly brought up, "Hey, remember when you outed me, lol?" I protested, saying I did not out her because I did not know at the time, her family did not know, and she had given me trouble for coming out to her because she could not understand her partner being attracted to people of the same sex. It is difficult for me to accept calling it that because last week, when she told me she might be interested in women, she said, "No, I don't like labels," when I asked if she was bisexual, pansexual, or lesbian. If you are going to cry and accuse me of things when I come out to you, call yourself straight for years, and then claim to not like labels. Why are we suddenly using LGBTQ terminology to make ourselves the victim? She did not understand that outing is a label too, and an LGBTQ term for something very specific. Her issue with me is that I keep claiming it is not outing her. I have never once said the joke was right to make or justified because I have apologized so much over the last 3 years. Why bring it up now, out of nowhere, just to put labels on it? This is the same woman who, prior to this, let her best friend and her boyfriend trash talk me when she told them I was bisexual and still let me hang out with them. Why are we trying to save face? I think you're at fault here. Even if she isn't queer, you still went to her family about something she told you in confidence and clearly wasn't comfortable sharing with them. She told you her deepest secrets and you gossiped to her parents. Now she knows she cannot trust you and your relationship won't last another year. Am I the jerk for banning my friend from my D&D campaign? Hello. Sorry for any mistakes. English is not my first language. This story starts 5 months ago when I, a 20-year-old non-binary person, wanted to create a D&D campaign. My best friend, who is a 21-year-old female, was really interested in it, even though she found the book I wrote boring. I proposed the campaign to her and her friends. We had talked a few times before because they also play D&D. I proposed it to them, created the server with the help of one of them, and started creating a tutorial for how to make a character sheet. I knew with the different time zones, I am in Europe, they are American. We couldn't really voice chat to create it, but I told them, if you have anything to ask or say to me or if you need help, DM me and I'll help you or ask for a voice chat and we'll see that together. A few months passed, and I pinged them multiple times to see if they had progressed. No one answered. One night, I had a difficult day, and my best friend asked me if the campaign was still on. I told her, "We'll see." I pinged everyone to see if anyone was still interested. At this point, only my best friend had created their sheet, and no one had sent me a DM or asked for a voice chat, so I thought everything was good because there was no answer to my pings. One of the players sent me a DM telling me they were not interested anymore because they thought the campaign was abandoned and that I wasn't involved in it. I explained to her that I had pinged them multiple times asking if they needed help. Her excuse was that I didn't DM them properly, saying that I should have DM'd them personally to do their sheet together. She started ranting about how in her 15 years of experience they always did it like this and so on. Honestly, I didn't read it fully, left her unread, banned her from the server, and sent a screenshot of the DM in the server saying that the campaign was over because I didn't want bored players, calling them dead weights. My best friend said that it was a two-part problem, how I miscommunicated with them and that the campaign should still be played. I told her no, I couldn't play with people who were not passionate about the universe I created from endless nights on caffeine, which I put blood, sweat, and tears into creating a D&D campaign. I banned her as well as the rest of her friends. She texted me saying that I was overreacting and the campaign could still be played if everyone made peace and forgot the past. Honestly, I don't see myself doing it with people not answering my messages and not telling me upfront when they need help and are just waiting for me to come take their hands like little kids. Am I the asshole for banning them and not wanting to play with them? You did nothing improper, but it's clear they were killing the mood of the campaign. Find a new group that actually appreciates the effort put into the universe. It's possible the campaign isn't boring and they just weren't the right fit. Losing a friendship over this sucks, but sometimes it's better to surround yourself with passionate and engaged players. Am I the jerk for fighting with my parents' partner over not cleaning the house and potentially causing their divorce? I am a 30-year-old female currently living in a shared space with my 54-year-old mother and her 49-year-old husband, after running into some medical troubles and no longer being able to afford to live on my own. I am paying rent and bills to live here. The issues started between me and her husband a few months after I moved in. He began taking every opportunity he could to talk to himself about how I'm such a lazy person, how it must be nice that I'm stuck at home while I'm on medical leave from work, how I'm faking my chronic illness flare-ups to get away with doing nothing, and just generally complaining about my existence anytime I wasn't in my room. I started spending all my time in my room unless my mother was home, and only coming out to talk to her when she got back from work or to update her on my medical condition. Apparently, her husband has an issue with that as well. He gets mad whenever we talk and generally acts like a jealous boyfriend, as if I am trying to steal her away, even though she is my mother. It has essentially gotten to the point where I can't even leave my room without him starting something or finding an issue over it. He finds even more issue in the fact that I don't leave my room because he expects me to clean up after his messes every day and cook dinner for them every night. Despite the fact that I cannot stand or walk more than 20 minutes at a time without immense pain and have doctor's orders restricting me from doing most of what he demands, I still end up hurting myself more and prolonging my injury. I'm not sure how I'm supposed to do more when I'm on restrictions after suffering a back injury, for which I have already had 3 surgeries and am waiting for more. It's already frustrating feeling like a prisoner in my own body and being stuck living somewhere I don't even want to be. Here's where I might be the asshole. I ended up getting into a screaming match with her husband after he came home acting like a toddler by slamming doors and cabinets, stomping around, throwing things, and loudly talking badly about me because I didn't clean the house after getting home from another round of spine injections to try and manage the swelling. A lot of things were said, and my mother came home. They ended up getting into a huge fight that went on for 3 more days. Now my mother is saying she threatened divorce and that she will lose the house without his job to pay for it. And I just really don't know what to do. I'll admit there are some things I can do to help clean that I've stopped doing out of spite because he talks badly, regardless if I do it or not. While I would have no issue cooking for my mother, I have no desire to cook for someone who treats me poorly for things I can't control, even if I know my refusal isn't helping the problem. I don't want my mother to suffer because of me. So, am I the asshole? You acted correctly, but this environment isn't healthy for recovery, and it's important to try finding alternative housing if possible. Do what you're capable of and do it for your mom, not your stepdad, but remember that everyone will need help someday, and his karma will be satisfying. Even though the situation is tough, the focus should be on recovery to regain independence. Ending the relationship becomes necessary when someone is abusive, especially toward those who are disabled or unable to work. Am I the jerk for telling my cousin and their spouse that they need to grow up and be adults? I am a 17-year-old female and have never been close with my cousins or their children. I am the youngest cousin of 10, so I have never been interested in becoming close with them. I usually just stick to myself, but my mother, a 48-year-old female, has a pretty bad habit of being too nice. Around 6 years ago, my aunt, a 53-year-old female, was diagnosed with stage 4 brain cancer, and my mom invited her into our home to stay. I did not have an issue with this, and even if I did, I was 11 and did not really have a say. My aunt and her husband have been living with us on and off my entire life, so I am used to it. Fast forward to November 2023, 2 of her grandchildren began living with us due to financial issues and some abusive treatment they endured with their parents. I was a bit annoyed as I was not used to being around a 4-year-old and a 10-year-old. However, I sucked it up. Then, only a couple of months later at the end of January, my cousin and his wife, both in their late 30s, came to stay with us too. They needed somewhere to stay for a week. Of course, that did not end up happening, and my mom, being who she is, has let them stay since then. They are awful house guests. They eat everything. They go days and sometimes weeks without bathing. If we did not do anything, they would let the house become filthy. All of this does not really affect me because I tend to stay in my room most of the time. The main problem is that they also brought their other child with them last month, a 12-year-old that has a tendency to try to be a mother to her younger brothers. I try to avoid her. However, today they got on my last nerve. They were throwing things, yelling, and arguing all day. I could not take it anymore. Their parents were just sitting there on their phones, not bothering to do anything. I eventually had enough and told the kids to stop fighting in the house. I took the remote because they were fighting over the television, and I sent them outside to play because they had destroyed the room and I was extremely overstimulated. I turned my anger towards my cousin and his wife. In short, I told them that I think they are bad parents and that they need to grow up and be adults for once. My cousin's wife started crying and yelling at me, saying that I have no right to say that. My cousin jumped in to tell me I am just a child and I need to treat them with respect. I screamed back, saying I am not going to treat them like adults until they get their act together, and I stormed off to my room. Now my mom is telling me to apologize because it was not nice, but I do not think they deserve an apology. They have been here 7 months, and only one of them has gotten a job. They only have $400 saved up to find a place to live, when they were supposed to at least have a few $1,000s because they are not paying bills and their rent is very cheap. They also receive $600 in food stamps each month. I do not think what I said was wrong. Am I the asshole? You are not in the wrong. They really should be doing a better job of keeping their kids in line if they are guests in someone else's house. Your mom needs to remember it's not just her living in her house. You live there too. They are all freeloading off your parents, making your house and your lives miserable. Your mom really needs to set some limits and boundaries if she wants to keep doing this. Am I the jerk for letting my mom know that my younger sister is not invited to my wedding? I am a 28-year-old man and have two sisters, aged 30 and 24. Both of them have their own children. My elder sister has a working husband, and they contribute to the needs of our home. Our youngest sibling just graduated from college last year, but is still unemployed. Her needs are provided by our mother, while the needs of her child are covered by her ex-boyfriend. My elder sister and I occasionally help out with her needs since we both have jobs. One day, I presented my girlfriend, who is a 25-year-old woman, to my family, and they accepted her. She was the only girl I ever introduced to them. They knew I was planning to marry her soon, especially given my age. A few weeks before our 10th monthly anniversary, I had a serious conversation with my mother about my plans to marry her outside of town. Unfortunately, during that conversation, we didn't realize that our youngest sister was in her room, barely hearing what we were talking about. She informed my girlfriend's brother about it, and he contacted me a few days later. In their conversation, she told him that we were getting married, that I was leeching off my girlfriend, and so on. I was furious. After everything I did for her, there she was, stabbing me in the back. But I held my rage and planned what I needed to do. I thanked him for showing it to me and started working on what I needed to do. Soon, I finally announced the wedding date and who would be attending. I included my mother, my elder sister, her husband, and their kids. Not hearing our youngest sibling's name, my mother asked why she wasn't included. Seeing their confusion, I explained that I had originally planned to include her, but I removed her because of what she said to my girlfriend's brother. I showed them their conversation, and I could see her trembling in her seat. My mother's frown said it all. She was furious. They had bitter talk that you could hear throughout the house, with my mother saying that she didn't have the right to say such things about me, that she had been unemployed for more than a year and was still relying on child support for her kids' needs. I could hear my youngest sister pleading, apologizing, and asking me and our elder sister to ask our mother to stop. I knew she deserved not to be invited to my wedding, but part of me pitied her for what was happening. The final decision was that she would be kicked out after my wedding. I asked my mother not to go that far, but she insisted. She said it was time for her to learn how to do things on her own. Looking at her, I could see how devastated she was. I think I went too far. So tell me, am I the asshole? It's your wedding. You get to decide what you want, and your sister does not deserve to be there after trying to ruin it. It sounds like your mom agrees with you and may even tell the rest of the family about her behavior. If your sister didn't want your mom to know, she shouldn't have done it in the first place. It's high time she learned her lesson to stay out of people's business. Am I the jerk for leading on a forced friendship? Alright, so I started college last year as a 19-year-old female, and I met nice people and befriended this 19-year-old male within my major. The only reason why I was nice to him is because nobody else was. He was obnoxious and told really corny jokes that would annoy everyone. He had poor hygiene and he reeked. Still, I was nice to him only because I felt bad for him and I didn't want to be mean. Being his friend felt like a chore, and I still dragged it out because I thought I could handle it. This friendship was also very forced from his behalf. We had just met a few months ago, and he wanted to look at apartments with me. He wanted me to dog sit and house sit for his family, who I had not even met. Why would they have me, a random 19-year-old, take care of their house for a summer? This man also did not take no for an answer when I was uncomfortable sleeping over at his dorm or house, sitting for his entire family. He would keep pushing me to say yes when I was clearly uncomfortable. Still, I stood my ground and didn't end up doing anything. To be clear, I didn't think he had developed feelings for me because he was bisexual and in a relationship with a man. Anyways, he was a narcissist and was never truly there for me when I had problems. He treated my issues like gossip or tea time. Whenever I would talk about my interests, he would cut me off and talk about his own interests. He was super cocky and would brag a lot. He was so self-absorbed that at times I felt like he made up lies to impress me. The final nail in the coffin for me was when I told him my brother was in the hospital. He started holding my hand and looking me in the eyes, trying so hard to fake sympathy for me. The hand holding was very weird, so I called my other friend and vented to him. My other friend said, "Yeah, he told me he had a crush on you before he started dating his boyfriend." I was beyond angry because I was aware that he was in a relationship. I didn't know what to believe from him, so I decided to ghost him this entire summer. I was going to change my major anyway, so I took the opportunity to ghost him and ignore all of his messages. So am I the asshole for leading on a forced friendship? Everyone sucks here. That guy's behavior is weird and inappropriate, but it's unkind to befriend someone under false pretenses because you think no one likes them. Continuing that friendship despite not being able to stand them is just wasting your own time. Why drag out a friendship that feels like a chore? It sounds like both parties weren't being genuine. Thanks for watching. When you subscribe, make sure to hit the bell to turn on notifications so you never miss a video. To finish listening to all the stories, check out the playlist in the description.